good morning, Spire friends. Happy Monday. Let's start the video with the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need a sheet of paper because you're going to need to copy this graphic organizer down. We're going to have about a sentence. Some of the sentences may take 2 lines, so that'll give you an idea of how big you need to make your boxes. But we need this graphic organizer. We have a 1, a 2, and a 3 here because we're going to read a story and we're going to do some sequencing. So you'll need that. You'll need your dictation paper. And you will need your alphabet arc. So go ahead and pause the video and get yourself all settled with all of your materials that you need and something to write with. And then press play again and we will get started. All right, friends, we are going to begin today with our phoneme deck. Are you ready? Here we go. W, z, k, d, n, y, a, t, sh, k, s, b, p, I, x, m, j, a, g, o, ch. All right. Good job, guys. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is sound deletion. And remember, when we delete a sound, you're going to take a sound completely off. So if you have a word with 3 sounds in it, then the second time you say the word, you're only going to have 2 sounds in it. Okay? All right, here we go. Say when. Say when again, but don't say what. What do you have? You should have in. All right. Number 2, say fix. Say fix again, but don't say x. What do you have? Fit. Okay. All right. Say jig. Say jig again, but don't say g. You have j. All right. Say him. Say him again, but don't say should have M. All right. Say hip. Say hip again, but don't say P. What do you have? Should have H. All right. Last one. Say and. Say and again, but don't say D. And. All right. Now, we are going to do substitution, and that means we're going to say a word, and then instead of this sound, say this sound. Okay? We're substituting. We're putting in another sound where another one goes. Okay? Say drip. Say drip again, but instead of D, say T. What do you have? Should have trip. Okay? Say dip. Say dip again, but instead of D, say H. Should have hip. Okay? All right. Say rip. Say rip again, but instead of I, say ah. We're changing the medial sound, or in the middle. So instead of I, you would have ah, wrap. All right. Say wrap. Say wrap again, but instead of P, say T. Okay. You should have wrapped. All right. Say rat. Say rat again, but instead of r, say s. You should have sat. All right, last one, friends. Say rid. Say rid again, but instead of d, say You should have rim. All right, how'd you do? Sometimes that stumble us up a little bit, don't they? All right, let's look at our letter arc. Okay, this is going to be a word ladder today, so we're only going to be changing one phoneme or letter card at a time. All right, I know a couple of the lessons we've done words and we moved all of them back, but this one will be where we only change the one at a time. Okay, all right, so the first word that I want you to make is drip. Let's sound that out together. Ready? D, r, I, p, drip. So you have 4 phonemes. Let's spell that out. Okay. D, r, I, p, drip. All right. Everybody got that one? All right. I want you to change drip to trip. What do you have to change? Only one phoneme. Change drip to trip. Trip. All right, you got it? I know sometimes when you have TR together, sometimes it sounds like the CH, but it trip. You have to really watch my mouth, okay? All right, I'm sorry, I lost my place here. All right, change trip to rip. On this one, we just needed to take off one phoneme, okay, to have rip. All right, change rip to wrap. Need to change our vowel sound to an A. All right. Change wrap to rat. Needed to change our P to a T. Rat. All right. Last one. Change rat to sat. S-A-T. Got it? All right, friends, we're all done with alphabet arcs today, so you can push those up. We are all finished with these today. I'm going to put mine off to the side. Okay. And now I'm going to just give you a little bit of background information on the story that we're going to read together today, okay? Today's story was about a little boy, and he just kind of wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. He was walking along the sidewalk, and he saw a tin soda can on the sidewalk in front of him. And instead of what we would think of as doing the right thing and maybe picking it up and putting it in the nearest recycling bin or trash can, he just mindlessly kicked it. But when he kicked it harder than he thought he was going to, and it went way up in the air, and it created a big problem for him. All right, so we're going to read about what happened in the story, and we're going to read about what his problem was and then how he solved it. Okay? All right, here we go. So we're going to look at the story here. I'm going to move this out of the way for now because we don't need it just yet. All right? So let's look at this story, okay? The title of this story, let's read it together. Are you ready? A Bad Hit. All right? So let's read the first 2 sentences together. Here we go. Ready? Dan has a tin can. The tin can hits the van. So remember I told you he's walking along the sidewalk and he's just mindlessly doing whatever, and he kicks that can high up in the air. And where it landed was he hit a vehicle. He hit a van with it. All right, so that's kind of a problem, you think? And when we read the next two sentences, it's going to be even more of a problem. All right, so let's read the next two sentences aloud. And just real quickly, this sentence right here, this is all one sentence. I ran out of room, so I had to come back under here, so I moved it over a little bit so you would know it was the same sentence. All right, so reading the next two sentences. Here we go. The man in the van is mad. The man has the tin can in a bag. All right. So that darn Dan has kicked that can into the van, and the man that owns the van was sitting in the van. Okay, so he has made a dent or a scratch or something in the van, and the man was sitting in it. And so the man got out of the van, grabbed the can, and he put it in a bag. Okay? All right. Now, let's read this next sentence. Are you ready? Dan is in a jam. Now, guys, what does jam mean in this sentence? If you're in a jam, it means he's kind of got a problem, right? If you're in a jam, kind of means you're kind of in a bad spot. All right. What's another meaning for jam? Another meaning for jam is like stuff made out of berries that's sweet that you can spread with a knife on like toast or a bagel or something. But that's not the kind of jam that we're talking about in this sentence, right? We're talking about he's kind of in a mess, right? All right, so let's see how the problem gets solved by reading the last sentence. Are you ready? Dan's dad can fix the van. Whew, that's good news for Dan, right? His dad is going to be able to fix the van, whether it's a dent or a scratch or whatever. The story doesn't tell us, but we know there's probably a little bit of damage to the van, right? I want you to also notice that there's an apostrophe right here. And the reason we use that apostrophe is because we're talking about the dad that belongs to Dan. Dan's dad. All right? Not my dad or your dad, but this is Dan's dad. All right? So now we are going to work on our graphic organizer. Let me move my stuff back. Now, this may be just a little bit tricky for me because I'm going to have to move it up and kind of hold it as we do it, but that's going to be okay. I also want you to know, I want you to write out the sentences just like I am. And if you're not ready to move on when I am, just pause the video and finish up your sentence and then press play again and we'll keep going through it, okay? All right, here we go. So this is a graphic organizer showing sequence or the order that things happen in the story for a bad hit. That was our story today. Okay, so let's look in the first two sentences. I'm going to move this up so you're just looking at the first two sentences. All right, Dan has a tin can and the tin can hits the van. So the big thing that happens first in the story is where our problem occurs. All right, so the problem in this story is that the tin can hit the van, right? So we're going to do this in sentence form. So we're going to start with a capital letter and we're going to say the tin can hit the van. And we need a period, right? The tin can hit the van. And if you need to pause to finish it up, that's absolutely fine. All right, so our first piece of information was our big problem that has happened in the story, that the tin can hit the van. All right, when the tin can hit the van, the man got mad, and what did he do then? The man put the can in a bag, right? So let's write that down. The man put, it's a little tricky on this poster, put the in a bag. And we need a period because we're doing this in sentence form, right? Pause if you need to. All right, so far we have a tin can hit a van, and the man put the can in a bag. All right, let's look at the last two sentences of your story. And the last thing that we want to have happen is the resolution of the story, or how the problem was solved. All right, so we know that the problem was Dan hit a van with a can, right? So let's look at the last two sentences and see how the problem was solved. All right, we have Dan is in a jam. Dan's dad can fix the van. So what is the resolution, or how is the problem solved on this? All right, the resolution would be that Dan's dad can fix the van. That's really good news for Dan, right? Because he might be in a lot of trouble. All right, so Dan's dad, make sure you put that apostrophe in there, and make sure your B's and D's are going the correct direction. Dan's dad can fix the van, and we want a period, right? All right, so if you need more time to finish that up, just pause the video and then we'll move on, okay? All right, so we are going to move on from our graphic organizer into our dictation. And we're going to start with our sounds. I'm going to go ahead and put that board up here. All right. All right, so let's look at sounds first, friends. Here we go. Number one is I. Number two, ah. Number three, Number four, and number five, All right, got those? All right, let's go ahead and check our sounds. Number one was I. Number two was I. We spell that with an A. I'm sorry, we spell I with an I. We spell I with an A. Number three was and we spell that with an R. Number four was and we spell that with an F. And number five was and we spell that with an S. Okay? All right, put your pencils down for just a second. All right, I want you to say the word drift. Drift. All right, the word drift has 5 sounds in it. So I know we normally tap like this, but this time we're going to need all of our fingers. So I want you to hold up your hand. All right, and I'm going to count the sounds, and I want you to count them with me. Ready? D, r, I, t. Drift. Let's do it one more time. Ready? D, r, I, t. Drift. There are 5 phonemes or 5 sounds in the word drift. All right? So, say drift. Say drift again, but instead of I, say ah. You should have had draft. All right? And this is what they look like. We said drift, and we changed I to ah. So we would have draft. Let's go ahead and do the phonemes in draft as well. Ready? D, r, ah, t. Draft. So 5 phonemes and 5 letters in drift and draft. Okay? All right. So since we did those, that's going to help you on your word dictation. Okay? Because number 1 on word dictation, let's get our pencil. Number 1 is drift. Drift. Count those sounds out and then write them. Number 2 is draft. Draft. Again, count those sounds and make sure you get all of the letters in. Number 3 is sand. Sand. Number 4 is can. Can. And number 5 is crab. Crab. Okay, let's go ahead and check. All right, the first word was drift. Remember when we sound that out, there are 5 phonemes, 5 letters. D, r, I, f, t. Drift. Make sure your D's go in the correct direction. All right. Number 2 was draft. D, r, I, f, t. Draft. Okay. Number 3 was sand. S-A-N-D. Make sure you've got that N in there. I know that sometimes we tend to leave that N out because it kind of swooshes into that D. But if we leave the N out, we have the word sad. And we don't want sad, we want sand. Okay. Number 4 was can. K-A-N. And number 5 was crab. K-R-A-B. Make sure your B's go in the correct direction. Okay? All right, friends, put your pencils down. You are listening only for your sentence. Listening only right now. All right? Listening ears. The crab hid in the sand. Listen again. The crab hid in the sand. Now I want you to say it with me. No pencils yet. The crab hid in the sand. All right? Say it with me as I write lines. You're not writing yet. Here we go. The crab hid in the sand. One more time. The crab hid in the sand. All right. Pick up your pencil. Say the words in the sentence as you write your lines. Finish up your sentence. Go ahead and pause while you finish and then press play again and we'll check. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's check our sentence. We want a capital letter. The crab, C-R-A-B, make sure your B is going the correct way, hid, in, the sand. Make sure you've got that in there again. Make sure your D's going the correct direction. And make sure you have a period at the end of your sentence. So the crab hid in the sand. All right, friends, that is our Spire lesson for today, Monday, March 23rd, 2020. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.